Okay, guys, great to have you here. And let me adjust this a little bit. So I think we are all set for the life site clinic with Rick Lomas, the go-to man when it comes to penalties. Has been LRT certified expert for 7 years, I think, and has been a first-time user of Link Detox in 2012 already, when he suffered from his own penalty from his own website and got almost homeless. Or I'm not sure if that's the way you say it. And yeah, hi Graham, hi Jerry, hi Jim, hi John, hi Carla. Thank you all of you for your interest in coming in. I could go on and on. We got a long list, a long list of people who wanted to get audited. And then last night we even sent out an email to ask for this 5-sentence pitch of people to come in to explain in 5 sentences or so what the biggest pain is, because as we will see, there's a lot of data to look at, a lot more than you will find elsewhere. Usually the data is restricted, and our philosophy in link research tools is rather to not restrict and put it all together and make sense of it. And of course, make sense of it in a way that experts like Rick Lomas can get rid of penalties in a very short time. Let me ask you this question. Rick, there's always this thing going on, where people say, oh, the disavow file doesn't work, and you shouldn't disavow. What do you think about these statements? You being
Absolute rubbish, absolute total rubbish. If the disavow file didn't work, I wouldn't have a job. I'd have to do something else.
right.
I mean, to be honest, I get out of manual penalties. I mean, I know it's not what Google want to hear, but I can do that 100% using the disavow tool.
Yeah.
So it obviously works.
Yeah.
As regard doing it on a kind of ongoing basis, I really think you should do that. I mean, I noticed a lot of sites, in particular one we're going to look at today, it just picked up so much spam, just kind of all these image scraping sites and just junk, and
Yeah.
I don't trust Google to filter that out. I do think it's a problem when people don't have many links, so 90% of their links are junk.
Right.
And
Right.
I think in that situation you should really be actively disavowing that junk and saying to Google, I don't want that. So
Yeah.
so I think the disavow file works, and it's important. I think what does confuse people at the moment is the new Google Search Console, where they've done you can set your domain up as a domain property. Now, when you do that, it doesn't have the disavow tool, and I think
Right.
Are
Well,
you aware of that?
the old one didn't have the disavow tool either. They always hide it behind this link. You need a special link or
Sure.
did they at one point add it to the navigation in the old one?
Oh, that's a good point. No, what used to happen was when you would go to manual actions, it would then say file a reconsideration request or do a disavow.
Yeah.
But it didn't give you you basically can't, if you've only got the domain property set up,
Yeah.
you can't upload a disavow file.
Right.
So
Right.
so I think for that reason people are thinking,
Oh.
maybe the tool's going away.
Yeah, but the problem that Google has here is, or Google, or actually we, with the usability, the user experience of the disavow tool, it works only on a property level. It works for the www subdomain, and then if you have a blog subdomain, you need to upload another disavow. And so there is not a place to upload a disavow that works for the whole domain. So when you have many different properties, you need to upload a disavow many times. And I think they would need to implement some kind of automatic distribution of the disavow file across all these properties if they would want you to upload the disavow file to a domain property. And that would make it even more dangerous. Imagine someone, cleaning up some old user-generated spam on a subdomain, on a blogging host, and then the whole site goes bust.
Yeah, for sure.
I think WP Engine and others had that subdomain spam. Yeah. Or Tumblr. Tumblr main site is good.
Oh, really?
Subdomain is spam. Oh, I mean, good. It's a company at least.
Yeah.
the spam site
uh,
company.
yeah, but it's I think that is the case though, because I know when I'm fixing manual penalties, I get the best results if I excuse me, if I upload the disavow file to the www version, the non-www version, HTTPS, and the
Yeah,
non-HTTPS. If I do all four of those,
yeah,
uh, it tends to get a higher success rate than just doing, if I've only got access to the main one, for
right,
example,
right, right.
HTTPS. So it's really badly documented. it's, it's,
Documented.
it's, re-
Yeah.
it's, re- it's really badly done with Google, and they don't actually tell you exactly what they want you to do. But I think what it is, if you got links going to your old
Mm-hmm.
non-HTTPS version,
Yeah.
I think you need a disavow file for those links.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because that's
So,
how the crawler works. The crawler would look up that non-HTTPS version and try to load that. The first
sure.
problem you may have is that you forgot to set up the SSL. But then when he can access it, he counts that link first to the HTTP. And then if that HTTP doesn't have a disavow, the disavow wouldn't work there. And it makes so much sense from the level of from Google's level. They treat them as separate properties, also in the search results. Just yesterday, we keep moving stuff from WordPress to B2 Evolution, and smart.linkresearchtools.com is our new domain, right?
Yeah.
So that one starts ranking for the same content like the www for the while where the redirect migration happens. So right now, when you Google link building tips, we should be position 0, position 1, position 2 with different subdomains. They are still treated as different entities, as different website properties in Google. And so is the disavow file. And so I think that could be one major reason why you would not get out of some penalties. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
This
think
is badly documented. It's not documented at all, and I think we've been writing about this for many years. Bartosz wrote about that in 2014. So
yeah.
we even implemented some extra features in link research tools that you can connect all these together and suck out extra link data. All these different properties also have extra link data, which also makes sense to use. And you don't want to do that by hand. I mean, who wants to go into Search Console every day to download new links? Yeah, I don't know anyone, right? So yeah, but
Sometimes.
okay, yeah. Yeah, well, for those cases where they don't let you connect Search Console in link research tools, right?
Yeah, and also where I've only got access to to one variation, and
Mm-hmm.
you look in there, and there's no link data, so then you have to sort of get access to that other variation, and then kind of check it every day until there's link data, because it doesn't come in straight away. For that reason, I don't always rely on link detox getting it automatically, because if it's only just been set up, there might be no data there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But this is, with our ongoing refreshes, you're a
Oh, right, yeah.
first-time users, but our ongoing refreshes keep pulling new data. And, if you
Okay.
set this to a weekly basis, you get the new stuff in all the time. You, of course, when you work there in the magnitude of hours and download new data every hour, we don't have that switch yet. But, maybe if that makes sense, it could
Mm.
be possible too. Yeah, but I think we had a nice chat already. People coming in, all of you guys, Jim, John, Jane, Sylvia, Robert. Hey, my dad is here as well. Did I see my
Oh,
dad? Robert.
hi. Hi, Robert.
I see Stefan Spencer. Hey, man. Brian, Sylvia, Robert. Yeah. Okay. So for those who've been here already, you know how it works. We have a Q&A button. You can ask questions. My team is in the background and helps to answer the most simple questions, that can, are yes, no, or so. And we collect questions during the audit. So when we look at a website, we do this together. I share the screen. I share my screen, which I can do right now. And then we start talking about what we see and what we think could be fixed. And what is new this time, and I thank you guys very, very much for that, is that we polled you for your biggest pain or your first question or your most important pressing issue that you have with the site, so that we don't start talking about stuff that you might not be interested, right? Because you give us your site, we do all the audit, we look at that. And so the main issue here for Therapion from Timo, hi Timo, wait, are you here? We also need to do that check. You have to be in the show. If you're not in the show, we'll skip to the next one because we got 35. Where is the attendee list? Participants. T. You can search in here. Yeah, Timo, you're here. Wonderful. Timo, are you there? Can you talk? No? Let's unmute him. I know, I'm not sure if he has a mic.
All right.
So what he wrote is, the main issue with Therapion.com is that it does not show up in Google search results in English, for example, for online therapy or online counseling. However, it is well positioned for online therapy jobs. Any suggestions? So first, congratulations for ranking well for online therapy jobs. This is how it starts. You cannot rank for the word online, and you cannot start ranking for the word online therapy. It just doesn't happen. There's a long tail of other keywords behind it. And if you rank for all variations of online therapy jobs or online therapy job board or online therapy assignment, online therapy training, everything related to the online therapy itself, then you might become that authority for online therapy. And my question to you would be now, Timo, what is your audience actually looking for? Are they looking for jobs, or are they looking to get an online therapist to counsel them? I'm not sure. Can we hear you, Timo?
No, something. Okay.
I hear someone. Yeah.
All right, can you
Speak
hear me
up.
now, Chris?
Yeah, speak up.
All right, very good then. All right, thank you very much for this opportunity. What I'd like to see is this, the main page, index page on the website, the home page.
Yeah.
That has been optimized for online therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And there is the problem. However, the lesser search terms, online therapy jobs, that is another minor page.
Yeah.
So I'm having a struggle with the main page. I could go for a smaller search terms, like a 3-word combinations, online therapy, by email. That kind of optimization I could do, but I can't get those bigger terms, 2-word compound keyword sets. I can't get them ranked at all.
Yeah.
So what surprises me is that they don't show up at all in the results. I wouldn't care if they were in position 350. I could work on that, but what wonders me is that they don't show up at all. So is there anything that I should do? You say I should go for a smaller, like a more specialized keyword sets first. Is that right?
Yeah, keyword variations. Let's look at your backlink profile now. From the domain overview first. Actually, Rick asked me, do they really have such a good disavow file already? Everything's disavowed, right? So
very much, yes.
So that's I think what you thought, Rick, right? When you wrote in chat.
I did think maybe it was a bit too big, actually.
There we go. Yes.
But having said that, I think there was a lot of links where the anchor text was online counselling, and I think the majority of those are now disavowed.
Yeah. Now let's look at counseling, group counseling, online counseling services. We got our filter active now, online counseling.
Chris, one more thing. As you notice, the web page has 15 language options. So the English section is under the main, it's in the main directory. It doesn't have a special directory. It's using the main directory. So my question is, should the structure be changed somehow, or is that okay? The other language options sit in the, you know, private or the special, you know, folders, directories. And those have been very well, you know, optimized. They have been ranking very well, for example, in Spanish, Psicólogo Online, auf Deutsch, you know, for example, Psicólogo Online, you know, we've been quite successful there. So it's a little bit a question about, is this about the problem with links, or is this a problem with content, or is this a structural problem, you know? So that's my doubt.
I have to cite Andrei Lipatsev. Do you know Andrei Lipatsev?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. So just to bring you back to this double feature listing that I just mentioned here in our, I got him featured in the link building tips article as well. This guy, you have to watch the whole video. Okay. So this is a Google engineer. I mean, they call the engineer search quality, senior strategy, and other fancy names, because if you don't get a raise in these large companies, you get a longer name. This is, you know, makes people feel good as well. But he's a developer, and they've been roasting him in this show for an hour or so. And then at some point, he said this one thing, you know, what matters in Google? I'm not sure if you can hear that YouTube now.
Where I'm seeing it is starting to hang out on air, you say. I see the video screen, but I can't hear it really.
He says, there's two things that matter for ranking websites. I tell you what they are. It's content and links. And then it goes in this order or in the other order. So it's never the one or the other. And in fact, you cannot even separate the two things. Really, there was a time where I could rank this website for every word you wanted. So I even ranked blank pages for stuff, you know, just to redirect them. Right now, we're in 2020, and it always goes together. So when we look at your pages here, I find it interesting that online, you got these directories here, the CN, the DE, and they all have different strength already. And you're saying the Spanish one ranks well?
It used to be highly ranked, you know, but it has changed now. But that is the, you know, the Spanish websites. It's you know, diagonal ES.
Okay.
So there we go.
So these are the 4 pages that I know because I clicked on this European.com/ES. That's the folder for Spanish. And now when I look back to the domains, I see all the domains that are linking to there. And what you're saying is it ranks really well, and we got some disavows here already. Okay. And you know, we see that the trust for this.
It still ranks fairly well, you know. It ranks fairly well. It used to rank really well for years. You know, over 10 years it was ranked top 10. But yes.
Okay. And then Rick, you said that to the main site we had. Oh, you have some Spiegeling. Yeah.
There was a lot of anchor text with
counseling. Was that?
Oops. Yeah, it was online counseling.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there's a hell of a lot of directories on this pointing to this site that most of them get like no traffic, and a lot of them have sort of died off. And I wonder if over time, you know, all the links you had in the past that, you know, might have made some difference, like the old directories, they've just kind of died really. And you probably haven't got.
Well, you know, it never has been, you know, sorry to interrupt you, you know, the problem with the English section has always been there. The directories have never helped us in any way, you know, really. There's a lot of directories, part of them that we created the links, and then there are lots of links that we did not create, somebody else has created them, in a sense that it's being partly uncontrolled link creation that's been going on, you know. And we tried to hire SEO, so-called SEO experts from, you know, India. It's not about the country, it's about the working style. But so there are lots of old directories that never brought us anything. So I disavowed them, most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And these are just the domains that we see for the keyword linking with online counseling. So there's 364 domains, as you said, Rick, that have their root domain disavowed. And I totally believe that online counseling and online therapy would be the other one. Let's look at that one. Because you say you're not shown at all for them, right? Online therapy services, you don't rank. Online therapy, you don't rank, right?
You know, online therapy services, I think we might rank.
Okay.
Online therapy, we don't necessarily rank. You know, it sometimes happens that when the Google algorithm changes, that we pop up somewhere and then we disappear. I have a feeling as if there was a, you know, a multiple layer of filters, and when all of the filters sort of get activated, then we are filtered out. But there's, you know, we don't basically show up at all. So that's what surprises me.
Yeah. It totally looks like a filter, as you said, on that keyword. And this is actually not something new. I made presentations and case studies in 2010 when I was still my web agency, my link building agency, Camper.com, where we saw filters for exact match keywords. And you have exact match keywords online therapy.
There we go.
A lot. And this has just come back in 2016 with the Real-Time Penguin, where they, you know, before that, they killed the whole site from 2012 to 2016. When you have overdone it with links, this new fairly rough Penguin algorithm killed all the traffic, you know, traffic and then zero. And then in 2016, finally, Google made it happen.
Yes.
You get all these new spam.
Chris, I guess you get, you know, sorry, I interrupt you, Chris. Yes.
No problem.
Chris, I wanted to say, I get you are hitting the nail here, you know. I didn't know that such a filter exists, but I had a feeling it exists, you know. Because in German language, there's been a special situation because psychology online, we rank, but online therapy, outdoors, you know, online therapy, we are filtered out, you know. So I'm sort of like a surprise, like what happens with this online therapy? Because, you know, the web page is the same, the link structure is the same, but we don't rank at all, you know. All right, so I'm not going to interrupt you anymore, so please go ahead.
My question is this: did you run Link Detox Boost to make this disavow file actually work? Or did you just upload it?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I've tried it, you know, I've used the Link Detox, you know, along the years a few times, you know, let's say once a year for 5 years, more or less, you know. But I have used it very, very elementarily, you know. I haven't used all the intelligence that is inbuilt in the system. You know?
Yeah, so this is what the site clinic is for too as well, to look at, you know, what you can improve. And I think the first thing you need to do is when you have a disavow file, you need to force Google to actually crawl all these pages and links that you just disavowed. Maybe you disavowed this a long time ago, but who knows if Google ever crawled them. There's a huge chunk of the web that Google never crawled. And we saw effects where the disavowing of links took up to 9 months. 9.
All right.
That's 9. So it's impossible to get good results if you don't make sure that they get crawled. And this is what Link Detox Boost does. It pitches the Google bot to crawl all these links, and only then the disavow file is being processed, like we said before for the other variations. And I also see you have some links in here with unavailable status. That could be negative SEO pattern, but could rather be a reason or an example of links that you have from websites that are not responding at all, that are, you know, returning 503s. And then the disavow file is also not processed. And by the way, these are not disavowed, which I would do anyways, right? So all of these crap here, 2000, everything above 1,000 is a penalty. And, you know, this is on the link level or on the domain level. And so when you run link detox boost, you can at least make sure that, after some days, that all of that is in effect.
All right.
And then wait for it to level off, because then you know what you have. Yeah, because right now this low detox risk is just in our system and your disavow file. Did you upload it to Search Console? I hope so.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah. But people forget that sometimes.
Yes.
And then there is some stuff, like you said, Rick, that we can undisavow. That maybe we disavowed too much. Yeah? And we have this rule here, automated now, where we look at detox risk being fairly low, which is still disavowed. And I'm not sure if this SEO medically article here is maybe too spammy, but at least from the data points, okay, it looks like, oh, this is a directory. Nah, okay, leave it. Thumbs down, we keep it like that. What about this guy?
I must admit, just having a quick look, I couldn't see,
Yeah.
I couldn't see anything major that was
yeah.
disavowed. I mean, the interesting thing here is I noticed that, it's ranking for online therapy jobs, but there's actually no anchor text that says online therapy jobs, which
at all?
I don't think so. I might need to recheck that, but I always find it interesting, when someone's trying to go for one phrase and then another phrase they rank,
which is then driven by the content and maybe a combination of jobs, right? So here we got a jobs page, and online counseling is the synonym for online therapist or online therapy, depending on, I think, UK, US, or it's very similar. And this is what Google knows. So these synonyms, they understand. So we got an online counseling job here. And I could make a whole webinar just about the variations in link building for using different anchor text. What I would do right now is for this case, to end this feedback for now, is you look at all the links, and that's a lot, saying only online therapy. Yeah, not the variations, not contains, but equals online therapy.
All right.
And I would guess, when we look at the target pages, they all go to the homepage. That's it. All of these links go to the homepage. And this is your problem. You don't have an English language variation. I would look at all these links, but I would also create an English language variation. Like the /de, I would make a /en and have all the good links go to the /en. And then your homepage would leave it. All the old rubbish is on that homepage, the . And you can always look at good links coming to the new en, but make sure that it must be a legit move. And it makes a lot of sense from a site architectural point as well, because you have how many languages? 12?
Yes. Let me ask you, how would you do that, Andy? Where would you locate the index page, the site homepage? Would you put that inside the folder /en?
Yeah, exactly, because it's the English homepage.
Yes.
Your German homepage is on the /de.
Yeah, I see. All right, so you would create basically you are saying that the site structure should be, symmetrical, and we should have a /en folder.
No, I didn't say that. I would say you can do it like that, and it doesn't look awful or goofy.
Yeah.
To Google, it really doesn't matter. But you have a filter, or even a Google Penguin filter on that homepage on this keyword, and you want to get rid of that. And the move to a different page or the different directory makes sense also. And the second thing you need to do is you need to get a proper CMS that does all the href links for you, because I don't see any href links.
What is that? I don't.
Yeah, that's a technology introduced in HTML where you can mark up the pages that belong to each other. I'll show you on our website. When you go to our manual, for example, our English documentation, and you look at what's the LRT difference? All the stuff that we do different than others and why we are so cool. This page here has an English variation that we just see, and it links to the German variation. We only have 2 languages.
Yes.
But this is a link built in to that page inside here in the meta language, href, right here.
Yes.
And you can do this the hard way, manual coding and mess it all up. Or you can, get a proper CMS. By the way, WordPress is really not the best CMS for that because it messes that up all the time. Just this morning.
Sorry, Chris, when you say CMS, what is that?
Oh, the website management, where you put in the content. If this is a very old site, maybe you just wrote this in HTML, right?
Yeah, that's the case.
Okay. No, not a problem. If you make money with that, who needs all the technology then?
We I'm asking you because we want to update, our website. So I'm trying to understand what kind of, website it would be recommendable. So
yeah, look into B2 Evolution. It's the most integrated CMS ever. It has some templates, and if you can do coding, then you can code your own template, of course, yeah. But it is efficient for what you need to do. You have the redirects, you have the English the href link, this markup stuff that automatically embeds this, and you don't need any stinking plugins that break all the time. It's just install it and set it up for your site. You have maybe 20 pages in here, perfect, yeah. And of course, then you can spend years on thinking about the best layout of the site, but for getting the content in there and make it work SEO-wise, this is what you need, and it's fast. It's really fast.
It's probably also worth mentioning that how it is now, it's got all the CSS actually, actually on the page, and it's not even even remote CSS. So if you look at the code, at the code for the home page, it's about 50% CSS.
Yeah, but this actually looks pretty cool. Looks optimized because this improves load time. Rick. I think Timo is a very technical person, so you will love B2 Evolution.
Okay.
All of this stuff here is because you don't want to load the style sheet. Is that right, Timo?
Well, the page has been optimized.
Okay.
I mean, for a long time I've used SEO knowledge from different sources. So, but the thing is, the situation actual 2020 requires much more. Part of the website, the content is very poor, such as this web page we are seeing here. That it's thin content. I don't have too much content in Norwegian, for example. So I've been working with very limited resources, and so part of the stuff you are talking right now, for example, Chris, is more advanced than the style I've been using, so that's the big picture.
And some of our attendees said also, is it possible that you're not ranking on the English market simply because you have more competition? And of course, that is true. The rules for your ranking are
that's
in every country.
There we go. That's one factor, but I have a feeling that it's more about some kind of a penguin filter for this keyword set, for this combination, putting it out of the game, and
I'm pretty sure
about the structural thing, So that's my gut feeling.
No,
I'm a mathematician by training, so that's my gut feeling.
No, I think you're right. This it just makes sense if you rank for this longer phrase with jobs and not the short phrase at all. It looks like a filter. Try to solve that by moving it also to an /en, and of course implementing redirects. You know what redirects are?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I would recommend. We have a free browser extension, link redirect trace, where you can look exactly at what is being redirected to where and how. And
all right,
for your case, use 301s.
Chris, may I ask you, a recommendation? If I wanted to hire some of your SEO experts for this particular job, this is a multilingual website, and the trouble is in the English side. Whom would you recommend to me? Would it be you know, our specialist today or somebody else? You know, could you give me some
I don't
recommendation?
think you can afford Rick, and I'm not sure if you want to wait until he is free, because he's
All
got this
right.
long queue of people coming to him for all these penalties.
There
But
we go.
I think you can take this conversation offline, and Rick is really a nice chap, and I'm sure will help you with that. So he's one of those
All
certified
right.
experts, and yeah, that's actually the
Okay.
reason why we do this.
Let me ask. Yes. Let me ask him, and then I will email your office to ask for further recommendation if needed. You know.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then, Timo, thank you very much for this example. We have to jump
Thank
to
you
the
very
next.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been great. Have a
Thank
nice
you very
day.
much. Have a nice day. So,
You too.
next. Oh, we still need to mute Timo.
Actually, to be fair, I'm not that good at multi-language stuff. Actually, I was probably a better person than me for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I just tried to give how do you say, a diplomatic answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Really, it it depends. It should always be a match, always between the people, between the topics. And I tried that also to do SEO services for businesses that I was not interested in as much. But I think the fun really starts if you like what you're doing, what you're selling here. If that is a company that you can identify with, it's actually like a normal employee job. Then it's actually fun. If it's a job that you just do only for the money, then I would say you shouldn't do it at all, or leave it. And so in this case, I think that's also a personal preference of the certified experts. But from your authority and all your experience, all these blog posts that you wrote over the years, it's fantastic. I keep referring to them just last night, and yeah, thank you for that one. And the next is Graham here.
Which one's this?
Hang on. Security label Co UK. Graham Webb. Graham already mentioned something before as a response to the question that I did not answer yet, but I will get to that in a moment. Yeah, so my site dropped in the original Panda update. Oh, we need to allow Graham also to talk then.
I'd quite like it if you confirmed that was Panda and not Penguin, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropped in the original Panda update, and we've been unable to get back to where we were. Currently, we rank well for one of our main keywords, but we've never gone higher than the second page for our main work, currently around number 16. Pre-Panda, we were ranking number 1 for both terms. My competitors outrank me, but we used to outrank them. Some of the sites I don't think are as good as ours. See, this is something where we should maybe even mention competitive research and look at some of their sites, at least in the new feature that we have, the quick backlink checker. And I simply don't know if we have bad links or a penalty or something else holding back the site, which is totally possible. Like we just saw, there was a filter very likely on the specific keyword on the homepage. I'm frightened to edit my site to change anything in case we further drop. I'd like someone to reassure me that what I'm doing is correct. Now, here's the disclaimer. I think we don't work for Google. We cannot see into the future. We give all our advice and recommendations best to our knowledge, with its 17 years of links and SEO for me, and at least, what, 10? Oh, no. When did you start, Rick?
Me?
Yeah, we wrinkled SEOs.
Oh, I see. God, blimey, 1997.
So there you go. So there's a lot of experience, and we've seen a lot of stuff. Although we cannot assure you, nobody can. If someone gives you a guarantee for ranking, run. If they talk about a guarantee, run. Like, you don't want to do a thing that they recommend, because you cannot give a guarantee. And here's the kicker. If Google would give you a guarantee, if someone, John Muller or Gary would give you a guarantee, They couldn't do that either, because this whole system, it's not where someone sits and say, you rank and you don't. It's a complex system with hundreds of variables that is being calculated as we speak, based on so many different rules. It's not like you flip a switch and then you suddenly rank, or you drop that switch and then you stop ranking. It was easier though, simpler in the past, yeah, but it was never deterministic, as they say. So, and here's a question that we got also, Graham.
My thing about this one is I think Graham's talking about Penguin rather than Panda.
Yeah. Graham,
you think so?
are you there?
Yeah, it could be Penguin.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly when we dropped.
Okay. Can you or cannot?
No, I can't remember.
Okay.
It was a good number of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The big Panda drops, which is content, they were like 2011, and then Penguin, which is the links, that was all like 2012 onwards, really.
Yeah, it probably makes sense. It was 2012. We basically both of all of our keywords dropped right off the rankings, but yet we didn't have any penalty notice from Google.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, many people didn't. I did. I remember it well, April 2012.
Yeah. Graham, can you post maybe one or two of your competitors that you mentioned?
Yeah, sure.
Because we could, we cannot do the full audit that we have here, but we could take a quick look at them at least.
What I did notice on this one was that the anchor text asset labels and security labels and asset labels just seem to be like really, really overdone.
Wow, yeah. Asset labels.
I mean, normally
those are our main terms, so yeah, we did everything we could with those.
That's 52% for this one keyword. That's too much. For sure.
That's the one that I can't get above 16.
Yeah, that's the one where you overdid it. Totally. It starts with that, of course, and is something that worked in the past, I'm sure. And let's look at that.
Having said that, a lot of those links are kind of dead now. And I'm kind of assuming that, pre-2012, you were doing exactly the same thing as I was doing with my site that got penalised, and I was, in my case, it was motorhome hire, and I reckon 90% of my profile said that. But a lot of the.
Sorry,
Graham, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, pre-2012, I mean, we were, first page, we were always ranking very high. There was, kind of no issues, and then 2012 hit, and we just disappeared.
Yeah, when we look at this site, this is almost 2,000 on the domain detox risk, and everything above 1,000 is a penalty. Do you have a manual action right now in Google Search Console?
No, not that I'm aware of. I have looked.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, we've never had any manual actions, which always kind of put me off, because I didn't know what the issue was.
Which is actually the way it's been all the time for many. So Google doesn't give anyone for everything a manual action. And it was actually a revelation. It was simplifying SEO work if you would get a manual action, because then you knew they slapped me. So I know I can undo something. Since 2016 especially, you can undo in very small steps. And of course, you can do a first step, get rid of a manual action if you have one. However, what we see here is that there are risks with unavailable status. These links here, we can most likely disavow completely. When we look at their detox risk here, all of these sites, you could, go through and then sort by source page, power, trust. If you find anyone, with some power or trust, but there isn't anyone. So clicking on fix puts these 146 to the disavow, and we can later, still audit that. But to give you another example, all of these very high risk links here as well, 899. Don't look much better, looking at this on the domain view, directory writs, country, industry, links, bird, arbitrary. I think you're a good candidate for those where a proactive disavow, as we also call it, would have kicked in years ago already. Or in other words, just because you don't know about a Google penalty doesn't mean you don't have one. Our job as SEOs has always been toughest if we did not get feedback from Google. So there is actually in psychology, there are experiments where they tell people, to change the temperature on a fridge. And if they don't get feedback, if they cannot measure the temperature, or if the temperature measurement is delayed by minutes or hours, they get totally frustrated. And so this has been the philosophy of Google, to not give feedback. There are even patents they have of how to mess with SEOs' minds on that part. So that's why I say manual actions make it easier to understand if you have a problem. But many people don't get one, and I always have to giggle, when people say, "Don't clean up your act. Google will take care of that anyways." They don't. They have no incentive to make you rank better, right?
Yeah, not at all.
Well, I'm guessing you also use AdWords or Facebook to buy traffic.
No, we've never used AdWords
Okay.
or Facebook, to be honest with you. I was always concerned about the fact that we weren't ranking for one of our terms, but ranking well for one of the others. So I didn't want to play with the site too much in case I lost the traffic on the kind of high ranking keyword.
Yeah, well, you could, when you do proactive disavows, you are not forced to do one big step. When you have a manual action, you want to make that big step to get rid of the manual action that could give you bad rankings, and then you can still undisavow things later. So some of the things we just did, let's see. Oh, wait, I got my... Yeah, so if you should, all of a sudden decided this totally spammy directory here, don't do this at home, it's good anyways, undisavow it. And then we would, put them back on the good list and take it out of the disavow file. So this is being tracked all over the time. And in your specific case where we think that asset labels is overdone, you could go and say, yeah, I like all these different signals and issues that Google, that LRT calculates, but I want to look at only those for asset labels here. And then maybe you would say, but when it comes to the power, let's look at only those that are really, really, really weak. Like with a power trust on a page of 0, which means it comes from a page that has no links whatsoever. And here, everything I see is some broken ones. Let's look at the active ones. Let's say the broken ones we disavow completely. Here's one directory that has power trust of 1. And there's a couple others. Vishal solution security label. Let's say these links have been around for a long, long time. They look like a directory because they are a directory. The link is intact, the page is intact, the detox risk is 0. So I would keep it. I would just keep it. We could even add a rule here to the filter where we say detox risk is not or is greater than 500, for example. Then you still have 144 links for that specific anchor text. And, oh no, the anchor text I missed. red equals. Three. And this is a very restrictive filter now. But I can say these are the 3 links that you could disavow today. Simply because of this super high risk, because of this money keyword that you have overdone anyways.
Mhm.
And if you look at this website, I think you may need to disavow a lot more for this keyword here, simply because this keyword has a penalty or a filter, actually. I'm quite confident on that. But so you would select these and then just disavow them on a domain level, because they're all just directories. And you know, when we, oh sorry, that's not what I wanted. When you then take this risk filter away, there's a couple more. Suppliers. See, with a low risk, this looks like a legit site.
Yeah, Applegate was a directory site that you paid to be listed on, and you know they did a lot of kind of advertising effectively for you.
Yeah, but the risk here is low. And you just confirmed, well, it's at least not total trash, not totally. You paid for it at one point, yeah, but I'm not saying that just because you paid to get listed in a directory at some point makes it totally spammy and gets you a penalty, especially if it's a business directory. All business directories charge, right? And yeah, we could look at some let's say we look at the Incatext distribution of one of your competitors, because you gave it to me in the chat. Wait, questions and answers. Oh, wait, hang on. Data label. So that's one. I'm looking at backlinks just for the whole domain. And this is a quick backlink check where we just look at, you know, roughly the top domains, the top pages, the top keywords, and not all the risk analysis yet. The sample analysis modus is made for what we just do, you know, have a quick check where the links are coming from which pages specifically, and then for which keywords. And it's interesting to see that they rank, that they have 50% of their keywords phrases in this fairly small sample for data label. Now, we're only looking at the first 300 backlinks here out of what, 2 million. Yeah. I would then start a full audit to learn more about them, because right now we cannot talk about the distribution on a serious note. 50% out of 200, not out of 2 million. But competitive research starts with that, looking at, you know, a sample of the backlinks and then comparing these backlink profiles to each other. So the next step would be to maybe look at the labels online that you gave us. Because competitive space is defined by your competitors, by nobody else. So if these guys have, let's say, poor links or links that are not as favorable today than they were 10 years ago, if all of them have it, that just means you're in the right gang. And what you want to assume is to find out is, what's the difference between all of these? And I'm guessing that some of them, you know, they have business directories, that some of them have done proactive disavowing and cleanup of these links that may be hurting them. Keep in mind, if you drop in rankings because you disavow too much, you can still undisavow. as long as you use Boost to get the disavow file active. Just creating the disavow file won't cut it. Uploading it won't cut it. You need to run link detox boost. Yeah, and looking at this site here, some more domains. Root domain. I see a bunch of watcher sites here. CS coupons. Do you have your offers on voucher sites?
No, that's labels online. You're still looking at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't do discounts or vouchers.
So it looks like, you know, sorry.
I think quite a lot of those coupon, well, things that look like coupon sites actually aren't. I think they're just there's a load of stuff around now, all called like coupons direct and coupons DC and voucher something, and they're just scrapers. They just scrape stuff. They aren't really coupon sites. But
okay.
They've all got the same template.
yeah.
It's a lot of spam I see these days. Like that. So.
Yeah, so I totally understand, Graham, that you don't want to risk your existing status, your existing rankings. But keep in mind, there's always a risk in, you know, running your business, and you already dropped. So not taking action against what is deemed spammy or high risk is also a risk to not take action, right? So there's that decision you made already. And my experience is that users that have, you know, taken the first step to clean up the most obvious spam, they start prospering in their rankings, because that spam is holding you back. There is this idea, and sometimes Google says things like, we're getting really good finding spam patterns or something like that. Like, not very decisive. They don't say, we clean up your backlink profile for you. It's more in a way of, yeah, we found another pattern that works for 0.001% of all the backlinks of the world. And that's exactly what we do. My question to you is just, do you believe that it's in Google's interest to get you better rankings?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
It's in my interest to get better rankings.
Yeah. And this is what you said, Rick. You know, you don't trust Google to clean that up. And
I don't. I mean, Google's intention is just, you know, they want to keep their searcher happy, you know. So if they find a site that matches their query, then, you know, the searcher is going to be happy. So that's all that Google care about, I think, you know.
Yeah.
So if you've got a load of spammy links pointing to your site, then you know, some other site hasn't got that. It might favor the other one, you know.
I find a lot of broken links here as well.
There are, and if with this one, if you look, you know, the metric we've got used to be called keyword domain. It's now called ranking keywords. Is it?
Yeah.
If you look at the amount of links that don't rank for any keywords, there's
the link profile here, the keyword classification. So here you see 74% of your own keywords are money keywords in the links. That's fairly high, and comparing that to your competition would already give us a good, you know, gauge of where you stand. And what you mean is keyword domain. It's still called keyword domain here, but it's called ranking keywords in the other view. So we need to, and this comes from SEMrush actually. And here's 600. You know, they tell us for a domain, does it have rankings? And from 608 links, the domains where they're coming from have 0 rankings.
Yeah.
What's that good? A link?
I mean, to me, I think that's, you know, I know we have all these metrics to look at, but I think if a site doesn't rank for anything, then I think a link from there is going to be useless, or potentially harmful,
Yeah, exactly. And when we then look at here, the source power, look at that. Out of all these 608, 3 have a power trust, which is the metric, similar to PageRank and TrustRank combined together. Only 3 have power trust on the page. The other ones I would just get rid of totally. You don't want links from domains that don't rank. You don't need. And what we also saw here, when you look at high-risk links to broken pages, when you go fix your site, your website, because you have a broken page that has links, you run the risk of redirecting some penalties back to the original page, and then you inherit the penalty. Wow, this takes a while to load. You know that. It just took me 6 seconds to get this web page here. I didn't load it before, I have to say. So this was the initial load without any cache.
Yeah.
And it's a page that you could easily load in 200 milliseconds. I mean, I don't see anything. Is this being fetched from a database, live updates or something for the pricing here?
No.
No?
No, they're just tables within WordPress.
Okay, okay. It's a WordPress. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I said it before. My recommendation is, look into something different. There's a whole industry of making WordPress sites faster. And my philosophy, I've done that for 10 years as well. Cost me my last hair. But my philosophy these days is a blogging tool or a content management system should be fast out of the box. It's crazy also from an environmental standpoint to waste all this energy to create all the fluff here that we see, and then put something on top to get rid of that already, and even have people work on that all the time, and extra server layers and processors, and do it right the first time is something that a content management system should do. And WordPress doesn't work like that from the technology philosophy wise. Yeah? So the speed is something we saw here. You got links to target pages with more than 5 seconds load time, and I would review that. And I'm also a strong believer that if you have links to really slow pages, these links get devalued as well, or the rankings at least. Those pages, they have no reason to rank on the first page. If I'm on my mobile and I go to a page and it doesn't load in maximum 2 seconds, if I'm really desperate, but 1 second, then I'm out. And we had the same problem for years. We're still in the process of migrating hundreds of articles from the old WordPress. So I know it's painful, but this is what I would do anyways. And yeah, besides that, I think there's a lot of little things, redirect chains on the source pages, high potential links to improve, where you could improve some of your linking for existing links. Yeah, but you have to start somewhere. And this is by making a decision to actually, do that disavow.
Would you recommend in that case starting with the disavow, or should I look at migrating the site to a different system first?
No, you do the disavow first. You do the disavow first because it works a lot faster. A different system, you can waste years finding the perfect system. I spent the last 15 years looking at different content management systems, and I think the first you want to do is clean up that act. Get rid of access links, and while you do that, or when you've done that, you need to wait anyways for impacts. So maybe what we recommend and what the whole system is built for is to keep track of stuff. You don't see the history here yet because this just started running. But when we look at some domain that we had, I think the great tutor was someone from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you see how this develops over time. And then we keep track of the risk anyways for you and keep track of all these links. And then we may even tell you that there's new disavow data to upload if you forgot it. But the moment you change something here, it will pop up. And then you do it again. So there's no harm done in doing this on an ongoing basis. Some people ask, how often can I upload without harming my rankings? There is no limit. The only problem you have is you want Google to fetch the right disavow file. And so, yeah, if you do this once a month, this is our recommendation, then you're fine. And the rest of the month you can spend on, actually making money and improving your website, and improving the content. And my learning is, while you go over the content, you say, oh man, I didn't talk to this guy, from that website for a while. And, at that point, you can actually engage and warm up your relations with people that you know in the industry to get your links, or to get you featured somewhere else in an interview or something like that to get extra links. And in addition to what we did just before, looking at the competitors, you run this for all your competitors and you look at their backlink profile. You pretend to be Google. You try to find the bad stuff, and then you see things, oh, we should try that. I get inspired most by doing link audits, not just for the product, but also for SEO. This is what the competitive research part, the learn part is. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, Chris and Rick.
Yeah.
No worries.
Hope that was helpful. And we need to switch to Bill. Bill, are you there? Can we see a show of hands? Here's Bill. Bill Ferris. Allowed to talk and unmute. Two major issues that began in March 19 are a major drop in Google performance. It seems to have largely caused by structural issues, a big decline in referring domains and backlinks. Okay, this decline, I would be interested to hear from where you see that. In response, we migrated from Magento 1 to 2 in the fall and deleted a lot of the thin content from the blog, which seems to have resulted in better SERPs and organic traffic. Also done some pruning of obvious spammy links and a bit of promoting of our most popular via social media and direct email. Relevant authoritative backlinks are a bit slow to materialize. Structural problems that need fixing or malicious link campaigns being waged against us. Totally possible. Have to learn biggest opportunity for worthwhile link growth may be. Great. Bill, fantastic to look into that now. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks again for taking a look at everything. I appreciate it greatly.
Lovely. So this is what we have for you. The core interiors are us. A high domain detox risk was 1750. That's a penalty for sure, or something holding you back, a partial penalty, a filter. It's too much of the bad links for sure. And what I can say right now, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want links from virus or malware sites. So we can disavow. We just found them here. And you can disavow them, not just now, but as soon as possible when they show up. Too many virus links, too many malware links could get you into some filters and maybe even flag your own site as malware, which means you would lose all traffic overnight and people would just see the interstitial warning, this is a virus site. So Google wouldn't even let them to visit your site then. So this is why it needs to go immediately. And yeah, Rick, did you look into the site as well?
Yeah, it's a good one. This.
Okay.
This is the one where my big filter that we talked about yesterday comes.
Oh, lovely. Let's pull it up. We have a filter with 160 domains in it prepared for you. And it's the RL image aggregator, RL filter, 106 domains. So here's a bunch of domains that we can open this up and it looks really, really crazy up here.
Sorry about that.
No. This is not your fault. We actually have a short variation that still gives us some real estate left. But that's some of the magic and some of the experience that Rick brings in here, where he knows that these are some malicious domains already that he
Yeah, I mean, just a brief thing about these. They're all really weird domains, like plumbersinnottingham.uk, and they're all dead. But at one point they weren't dead, and you had links from them, and they all have like kind of hundreds of variations on the subdomain. So you've got 106 domains there with like lots of subdomains of each one, and it's actually a huge portion of your link profile. But they are dead. But for the reasons we said before, I think they're worth disavowing. And obviously, because they are like got dead subdomains, you should disavow them by root, obviously. Kroz.uk, that's one you see all the time. KROZ.uk.
Yeah, so you say, and we got 1,600 links from these 106 domains. So you say we would disavow the whole bunch of bad links on the root domain level.
I would.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah, see, this is something where a system only can go so far. You know, the really simple systems can judge between a really great link and a really bad link. My mom can spot a really great link and a really bad link. And then, you know, as you put more machine learning and more data that we collect since 2013 from Google, you know, spam examples and penalties to train the system, we get better and better to judge. But then there's this gray area, the wiggle room in the middle, where systems, machine learning systems, have their issues to decide. And the truth is, us humans as well, these are those links where you sit and say, yeah, you know, I think I'll let this one through. But these are sometimes emotional decisions that you make based on design. So in our link detox screener, we even rip off some of the design so you don't get, well, too attracted. That's one pattern, actually. Now, these ones are disavowed in the background here while we talk, and we can get rid of this filter. I saw you have some more, Rick.
Yeah, there's a lot of that image scraping. In fact, if you can see the dot in the middle of the anchor text cloud.
Yeah.
That one there. That's all those ones that are just linking to images.
Oh, sweet.
If you actually click that,
50,000 links.
Yeah, but you have to do equals dots. You have to change that in the filter to make it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be anything with a.
Okay. That's why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But what I've done as well is I've created a filter anyway, which is called image aggregator, which has got all like it. What it picks out all the links linking to your images with a .jpeg, .png, .svg, with a low power trust, and you know, obviously you need to check them, but I'm pretty confident that they're all pretty much rubbish.
Okay, so let's talk about this filter and explain what we're doing here in the fancier ones.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you said, you look at the domain power trust being less or equal 5, so the weaker domains, and the target of that link actually containing a typical image name extension. JPEG, GIF, PNG, SVG, BMP.
Okay.
And that's a lot more than a 9,000 I just found with my dummy method, with my simple method.
Yeah, and I think even if you sort those by, you know, domain power trust, I think you'll find that. Oh, okay. How did that one get through?
How did that one get? Source domain power trust? Yeah, it's Blogspot. It's Blogspot. So the root domain is of course strong, but you look at domain power trust. So this is the strongest domain. Portal Wiki. Get another Portal Wiki, Western calls.
But you see, the majority of those, I think you can probably lose.
Yeah. And they're all linking to images.
Yep.
And so at what power trust are you sort of using as a cutoff?
I was going for 5 there, like 5 and below. But to be honest, I only just put that filter together yesterday just to. Actually, I must say at this point, I don't normally use this smart interface. I still tend to use the old classic interface. So I'm still finding my way around the new way the filters work. So
yeah, this is my secret trick to get the most engaged and most experienced old school users into the new version of the app.
Yeah. So I think you could probably confidently go for a power trust of 0, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, a source page power trust. This is something, you know, where you could go for the source page power trust. Or what we also see in spam patterns is typically seen here, a very high power, but a low trust. So we could also tweak this in a way that we say that the source trust, source domain trust is less than 2, 0 or 1. Because power trust is the multiplication of power and trust. And so with this, we only lose those that have a very low trust. And if you want to be a little bit more careful, you could even say, you know, equals 0. Only those with a trust of 0, which means they have no connection to a trusted part of the web at all. And these are still 23,000 script sites.
They're rubbish. There's also some really weird ones. They're all on a .tk TLD, and they've all got the word wood in them. And I've actually made a filter up there as well, which is called like wood TK or something. And
I just added it here, you know, by clicking.
Yeah. But really, with this, it's just a ton of auto-generated spam. Really, I think that's. And in a way, you need to get rid of that before you can really see what links are actually doing any good.
It's not just for us at LRT or as SEOs. We get lost in all this spam. There is simply the balance of good links and bad links in the backlink profile. Of course, Google can say or can try to ignore all of that. But our experience has shown that if you take action and take that out of the way, they have a much easier life. And this is what John Miller also explained in one of his videos last year, where there was an interview session with Mary Haynes and a couple other reputable SEOs that asked, you know, that question, you know, should we disavow? And he said something like, you know, if you keep your backlink profile clean, if you do that disavow job for links that worry you, then that's good for you. Just be careful that it's a powerful tool. And Google has the problem, in general, they have all these legal problems, right? They're a stock listed company. So if they go out and say, you know what, we just messed up with the link graph and you might drop if you do this and this, they have all these possible lawsuits. They have a $1 billion lawsuit with the European Union on so many things, or multiple lawsuits. And for instance, also, if they would openly confirm that negative SEO is possible, there would be all kinds of lawsuits against Google saying, oh, because of your broken algorithm, because you didn't fix that, I lost my business, blah, blah, blah. And so this is something that has always been and will always be in a very soft tone said by Google that, you know, this is not something you should engage with. But our users, and we had LRTCon, we had a talk specifically just for proactive disavowing, where Michael Rodman talked about different steps where he looked at this slice of data and this slice of links and different types of spam links. And he showed that whenever he took out a slice of really bad links and disavowed and then ran link detox boost, the rankings went up a little. So every little helps.
Well, yeah, I mean, thinking back to what Graham had said and when you guys were talking about earlier, I mean, when we first started everything back in 2007, you know, much like anyone new to the internet, you sort of, it was the Wild West and everything went. So, you know, we had listings in directories. We had an auto link generator. We were doing link exchanges, and at a certain point, got hit not just with Panda, but with Penguin. And when I had some other business things going on, so I wasn't paying as much attention. But when I finally went back and looked and realized some of the things that we had been doing that were at that point then deemed black hat, went through and did a huge disavow of anything that was clearly spammy, and tried to do some maybe guest posting gray hat link building, to sort of build back a little bit of credibility. But yeah, as Google has said that they were going to just not count poor links, that sort of took away a little bit of the emphasis of going through and doing detailed detective work to identify anything else. And I'll be honest, I have not been a subscriber to link research tools in the past. It's something that I'm considering. I've got a membership to other SEO link services where I'm able to identify some of the domain authority, et cetera, to go through and sort and say, okay, anything less than
Domain
5
rating
or
in Ahrefs or SEMrush.
exactly. It's Ahrefs that I
just
been
plug
dealing
them
with.
in.
So going through and looking at all the zeros, it's like you delete that. But from what you're saying here in your analysis, that there are on top of the things that I've removed periodically. I don't do it on a weekly basis or anything. But seeing that there are actually, what were you saying, that they were malware type things going on, like those are, that's shocking to me that those are going on. And I did notice that there were a lot of scraper sites pulling images. It's just a question of which things are being detrimental and which things are just not helping.
And that's the thing, some of these metrics, some of these signals, and some of these links, I mean, probably a lot of them, you don't see in SEMrush or Ahrefs, or, our philosophy is, I love Ahrefs, for instance, also for the keyword research, and they have a fantastic product and also a fantastic link data that we pull in. So when you have these accounts, you can set them up as with the API key here, and we could add that to all the link data that we have already. So you would get total maximum, best possible link data. And that's what you need if you have, if you have your business, if you have your livelihood, depending on that, how can you, I think I showed an example where we looked at just 1% of the backlink profile. That's a rough example, from one domain that we don't care about. Like if I would look at this 0 pattern 3 desktop thing here, and I would start our quick backlink checker. Wait, did it say 0 backlinks? Yeah, it said 0 backlinks. I'm sorry, bad example. But if you look at some of those, this JLB Homes here says it has 170 backlinks. So let's take a quick look. If you, oh, right. Okay, maybe not even that, but investing your time and your resources, your money into combining all of that together to get better quality as a basis for your decisions is the first point, in my opinion. And then what you could do is you could still, let link research tools running so that we can build that history. And whenever your favorite tool doesn't help you, you would look in here and see, oh, this is what we have. You still have 10,000 links with a very high risk found. And this classification is something that we can do because we combine all these rubbish links. So for example, also Majestic is something you can integrate. I think Majestic or Ahrefs, they call links deleted. And the truth is, they call links deleted also when they cannot crawl it, when it's blocked in robots.txt. So they have the goal to build the biggest backlink database of the world. That's not our goal. We want to have the biggest backlink profile for your website. So what we do is we combine all the different sources that we can find and that you give us, and then we crawl everything and find more. And we ignore robots.txt just because we can. There's some money involved, some resources, technology involved, and the balls to say, no, we ignore robots.txt, and this is where we find links that come from hacked sites, from negative SEO attacks, from SEOs that want to hide their links. You cannot hide a link from link research tools because our business is finding links, not finding links. And so that is one of the major differences between LRT and everyone else out there. And this is why we find these links. Yeah, just as a background, and maybe also a decision to help you to decide if you want to come on as a customer.
So there's an easy integration between LRT and Ahrefs.
Yeah, exactly. When you have Ahrefs and you have an API key, there you could just edit here in the settings, or you could connect with a Ahrefs account with an open app. I think it works like logging in and then allowing access. And I think I did that already, but let's do it anyways. So allow access, and I think there you go. We are connected. Open app from Ahrefs is connected, and now when you run link research tools, we also pull data from Ahrefs, in addition to all the other stuff that we have, and combine it all together, and then clean it up. And this is where we say this is one of the major criteria, one of the aggregation of all linked data sources possible, and then recrawling them again is what takes time and costs money, because a lot of the data points that you see might be fresh, but there's a huge amount of links when you look at the actual crawl dates that might be days or weeks or month old. And in link research tools, you have a baseline. We recrawl everything, and so when this is finished after an hour or so, you have data that is 1 hour fresh for everything. And nobody else can do that because nobody else gives you that priority. Usually Google and Ahrefs and Majestic and SEMrush, they all have the same architecture to crawl the web, and whatever they find and update, they give you. Only link research tools has this push button, give me my private link index thing, to my knowledge.
And how does the integration sort of work with, and I know I'm asking more general questions, but as far as the generation of the disavow file, obviously in Ahrefs, you've got either you imported your initial disavow file and then you're adding to it from their interface. But as you're connected with link research tools, how are you sort of syncing up in creation of a common disavow file versus having to keep appending one and re-importing it back and forth?
Yeah, well, for that you have to make a decision. Do you want to use a software that is specialized on maintaining a disavow file or not? Because we don't pull the disavow file from Ahrefs because they didn't have this for many years at all. So we have our own disavow database, and when we look at some of the domains here for you, the core interiors are us. We keep a history log. So here's stuff that I just disavowed. You see, and if this would be your account, and I would go in silently in the middle of the night and disavow something for you, you would see it here. You can always answer the question, when was it disavowed or undisavowed, for example. And so the process, the workflow for disavowing then is in link research tools. We just pull in link data. We also refer to this as raw data. So to my knowledge, the APIs of Ahrefs, SEMrush, Majestic, Moz, Google, even Google Search Console, they give you incomplete or mistaken data, error data, sometimes duplicate lines in there. And so we take all that, clean it up, and that's what we then call just cleaned up data, and then we crawl it. And that's what we call LRT quality for the link data. And based on that data quality for the links, we calculate all these metrics that we have, you know, detox risk, and then of course do the disavows based on that. So if you go link research tools for disavowing, then keep it in there. Yeah, and yeah, the process is you always have the disavow data in link research tools, and then if something changes, you can download it here, upload it to Google Search Console, and then 48 hours later, you would schedule link detox boost or make link detox boost run for you, you know, automatically. You can do that, yeah, just here with a click of a button.
Other than the image scraped links, as well as the ones that you pulled up there that were very, very high risk, was there anything that sort of jumped out at you as being an issue with the site, just in general structurally, or something that just sort of was a red flag for you guys as you did a 10,000 foot assessment?
Yeah, there's definitely more. Rick, you want?
I was just going to say, I seem to remember there was a lot of anchor text with style glossary in. Can you just go to the anchor text, Claire?
Yeah, I'm there. My first issue is everything is red in here. This is not good. It should be green and yellow. But these are your scrapers that you need to disavow.
Yeah, you see that style glossary ultimate list of interior design.
Style glossary ultimate list of interior. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, just generally, just that style glossary just looks unnatural to me.
Yeah, what is that?
Well, ironically, that's simply just the title tag, and it's done by, everyone else is linking to that. It's nothing that we've done proactively. So none of those red flags are anything that we've been trying to get exact anchor text for.
Yeah.
It just that's the way they've chosen to link.
Yeah,
automated the linking to the title tag.
Let's see if there's anything good in there. Concord Bridge Consulting. Yeah, if this is not something that you're fond of, and these anchor texts look actually really weird, and there's a lot of them, I would just, get rid of them. I have to say, in the other shows, we also mentioned that if we overdo it here, there's a feedback mechanism where the system then looks at your disavows again. And if you have disavowed something that looks actually good or looks actually good later on, the web changes, bam, the web just changed, bam, the web changed again. So over time, some domains may actually be cleaned up, get out of penalties, get legit. And then we would give you a notification saying, hey, you disavowed a domain that you should maybe consider undisavowing. So we got one. Maybe good links disavowed, undisavow. So one out of all those. Textile. I'm not sure if that rings a bell. It looks weird to me. It doesn't flag up for a target 200.
So the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie website, which has nothing to do with my business, but
yeah, I agree. It's weird. I would, what I'm wondering about is this URL. We got the product cache in here. Is this an image that you have on your shop that they hot linked? They hot linked to an actual, the cache is the cache. It's volatile. And based on this hash, possibly it could go away. And when you then look at the, what? Oh, check this out. The Brangelina family is actually redirecting to this one here. And this might be, is this really the Brangelina family? Or is there a .com? No.
I doubt it.
Interesting. Yeah, I would, you could give this a question mark and dive deeper and maybe, call up Brad Pitt and say, listen, you got a broken link there, and score a better link. No, I don't think he would care, but
The other thing with this is there's an extraordinary amount of links with the .tk,
again,
which I thought was Turkey, but it's not. It's a place called Tokelau in the South Pacific.
yeah. No, Turkey is TR.
Yeah. .tk.
Wallpaper spam again.
Yeah. There's a ton of that though.
I've yet to see one link coming from a TK website that is good. What is this about this here?
Yeah, it's like .us and .xyz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at this. It doesn't end, but we're getting a little bit cleaner now here in the Incatext cloud. Oh no, this is just the ones for TK. Oh gosh. Let's look at those. When we say we look at those that are not disavowed yet. There's still so much stuff. And the one with a dot.
So you guys going to send me this disavow list?
No. You can totally sign up for a new account, and then I'm not even sure if we can give this over from a technical standpoint, because we're now messing around. This is not how the audit works. There could be some mistakes. We don't have time to look into that. So that's part of the disclaimer and part of the deal. But what the option we have, and maybe it's important to mention that for our existing clients that are watching this, we can do this site clinic here in your account. So we could set up this report, at our cost in your site or in your account, use our link crawl budget, not yours, and then do also this preparation, these first steps. This is especially helpful for those users just getting started, right? And we actually had one lady from Germany, I think last week, where we did that, and she continued working in there as well. So that's one option. But yeah, for you, Bill, I'm sorry. I think at some point you have to put down your credit card to get the value.
Always got to ask.
Yeah, well, sure. Asking is free. So, and yeah, I'm looking at this still here. 94% of these with the dot anchor are with a high risk. Rick, what do you say?
Yeah, that's.
Find anything good in here?
I doubt it.
94% of which filter that you used?
You have links. You have tons of links that have as anchor text just a dot that are not disavowed yet. So there's 4,739 links. And of those, actually it's 21,000, but I only picked the ones with a detox risk of high. And maybe we should take the above average as well to see if there's anything good in there. No. And those, wait, let's take a look at the domain view. Home design full. Gumodo. It's all, maybe they worked in the past and that's totally fine, Nobody can complain about all the money being made when link building and link spamming was easier than it is now. But just because it got harder, it's no reason to stop it. Obviously,
I actually don't see why people do this. No, I mean, I know some of them do have AdSense on them.
Yeah. Well, these scraper sites, they have a simple business model. Hot link images pop up in image search, and then when people find that image on their site, redirect them to virus, to malware, to porn sites, to, in the past, this was the dial-up business, and to anything fishy. So all of that stuff is actually putting your site in relation to some nasty businesses that I would, not want to be associated with to begin with. Yeah. And keep in mind, you can always undisavow. With Link Detox Boost, we can make sure we trigger Googlebot to crawl these links, but we can also measure when it came around. So sometimes it takes longer, but this is very important. We have a timestamp when a link was then crawled. So therefore we can assume when that disavow worked. And the same is true in the opposite way. If you undisavow, you boost again, because Google needs to realize, oh, it's not in the disavow anymore. Everything else is just nonsense. There's tons of people out there that walk around and say they did one disavow in their whole life, and they talk about disavowing like it would be their first language, but it's not. I'm thinking about a specific SEO god or something, right? He called himself God, or you know who I mean, Rick, right?
I know who you mean. I'm not going to say anything.
No problem. It was actually a fun conversation, but the point is, if you follow simplified advice, then you might get into troubles, of course. And for 17 years, I wake up in the morning, think about links, and for 8 years, I wake up in the morning, think about toxic links and disavow. And this is what you have in that product. We're doing that as a main functionality. And if you haven't seen that yet, I have a list of links that I could build. And this is another new feature that we haven't announced before, is our link opportunity simulation, or a link simulator, where I just pasted a bunch of links. And once you have your link profile analyzed, I mean, this is still in the red above 1,000, but once you're here at the 1,000 or below, the link simulator will be able to give you a very reliable statement if you should build a link or not. Because then we have a wonderful baseline of data and can say what an additional link would mean for your backlink profile. And this is what we had this for many years, but not in this new user interface. So we launched this in 2014, and some of the most successful affiliates or people in the finance business also got rankings for years on the first page, but just buying links at a premium from people because Link Research Tools said it's a low risk link. And it's a low risk link now. So they also say, listen, I pay you double or triple, but you don't sell this to anyone else. And then check it. And yeah, finding if that link changed is another feature that we then have to monitor, that link and everything around it. But to show you the result of this simulation here, I still have a filter. From all of the links that I just pasted, I see a simulated detox risk. And you may recognize this first domain. I actually used a list of people who signed up for this site clinic. And luckily, it looks like most of them are really, really at the zero, are super clean websites that you could get a link on. So here's an idea to maybe reach out to some of the people that are in the webinar and join a discussion in a community that we plan as well. But this example here, in this case, I pretended that Spin for Tunes would be linking to you. And with a simulated risk of 225, that's totally fine. Like I said, everything above 1,000 gets problematic. And there are other lists that you may see or may get, in your inbox from people on LinkedIn or email. When you throw them in here, everything's red, and you don't want to build those links. So just in case you would be doing that, right? But I know in the US it's a very important to not talk about activities in link building. It's almost a political thing, like.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but that's a very US thing, and I totally get it. And in our business here, I see many different countries, many different verticals, and in gambling, everything goes. Everyone talks about link buying, link selling, link spamming, building PBNs, and that's totally normal there. And even Google knows. They see the results anyways. The more legit the business gets, and the more high level the conversations become on conferences, the more careful people are for a good reason. You know, showing off what worked. I remember in 2005, 2006 US conferences, people went on stage with baseballs, with Google sitting in the audience and talking about, you know, I bought this link, I bought that link, and then my website, and they showed the website. I started ranking like crazy, and I make 50,000 a day with this. And then Metcalf sits in the back of that wall, of that hall, and took some notes. And probably the next day, the site wasn't ranking anymore. So that's not what you should do at all. Like, but
I used to really like Matt Cutts, actually. I thought he was, I just loved how he used to sort of make everything sound, you know,
yeah,
slightly problematic, where, you know, like when he was talking about the original Penguin 1 that
yeah,
came out in April 2012,
uh-huh.
and he was saying, yeah, so for most people, you don't have to worry about this. But if you've been building links and if you've been paying for links, then you're going to have an interesting summer.
yeah. A very cool, very smart way to talk about that. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and it was complete devastation. It was.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I did like Matt Cutts. He was good.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, there are actually some good. As I say, there's actually some decent service, you know, like email notifications. There's a group called Help a Reporter Out,
mhm,
and that's nice because you can get a kind of a listing of different verticals that are, you know, have real writers who are looking for
yeah,
contributors to give quotes or perspective, and then they generally give you a do follow link back from their ultimate published article, and the domain authority, et cetera, is usually, you
yeah,
know, pretty decent. You're not getting, you know, crappy sites that are looking for
yeah.
building links. So
Yeah, that's a fantastic way to monitor Help a Reporter Out, or Haro, that has been around for a while. I just noticed that recently some people started asking for money. You know, they were actually actively demanding you pay them $150 if you want that link to be followed. And that's funny in the light of nofollow 2.0, because these days Google even openly says, they confirmed that they may ignore the nofollow tag. And that's what I think also happened now finally in the recent core update, that they ignored a lot of nofollow links, which got people to rank, but also other people to drop that were engaging in, you know, paid guest posting, for instance, on Forbes, who switched to nofollow a while ago for their own penalties, because of their own penalties. But in this case, Haro, I think, is just lagging behind the SEO industry. So if you actually get a pitch to pay for a follow link, you can say no, a no follow is fine, and get that mentioned for free. I mean, after all, you are contributing your voice, your opinion to the report, and help the reporter out, right?
all right, and even if it's no follow and not really considered as much, you still have a brand mention, which is always, you know, a positive.
Yeah, well, I love no follow links. You know, people pay a lot of money to get no follow links on Wikipedia, for example. So what's the problem with no follow? And that's been the case for many years. So there has been special handling for no follow links for a while. In 2014, we wrote a case study, did an analysis just on the negative impacts of no follow, where we have shown that even Google confirmed that penalties were caused by no follow links. So
By
disavowing
having no follow links on your site, you mean?
going to your site.
Oh, going to your site. Okay.
Yeah, I think we have this in a blog here. Google updates. That was a big story also. No follow links in SEO. Can no follow links hurt you? And the TLDR is yes. And what we saw was that they gave us back examples of no follow links causing a penalty. In this case, this was, for example, we got thousands, but this is PR Newswire. That is a quite popular PR distribution site. And they, a year earlier, switched to no follow links for the penalties that they had in 2013. And then in 2014, Google came and said, yeah, these are no follow links, and you did this to spam. Because it's not about the no follow tag, it's about the intention to spam. And that's why disavowing no follow links also helps, although some people say they never look at no follow links. But we also found out that it's a 50-50 share. Roughly 50% of the audience, this were 180 users or so that contributed to this, saying yes, I think no follows can hurt, and the others no. And because of that, whenever you do a recalculation of detox risk, you now get this pop-up, and when you read all this lingo, you see this little radio button asking you for your opinion. It's your decision, it's your website, it's your risk. You can take action, and you can decide if you would ignore no follow links or not, besides tuning the algorithm with other ways in detox tune. And so now everything will be recalculated with the no follow links. And you could do a calculation if you believe no follow links can do no harm at all still today in 2020, then you can ignore them. Yeah. And so with this, we have covered these different SEO schools, so to say, for many years already. Yeah. Which is another reason to put your disavow into link research tools.
Doing a hard sell. I appreciate that.
Oh, you haven't seen me selling hard. No, it's fine. And I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. You know, we've seen a lot of stuff, Bill.
Oh, sure. No, I absolutely appreciate you guys' time and attention.
Yeah. And when you know, because you mentioned the structure, we haven't talked about that at all. When I just look at, when I just look at your website, you know, at least it starts with the headers looking okay. You only sell in one language, so that makes life a lot easier compared to Timo, right? So no hreflang problems. Is that correct?
Right. I mean, the main structural thing I think that we saw was in the probably had more to do with the theme that we're using in Magento 1 and how it was handling a lot of the layered navigation, because in Google Search Console, we were seeing hundreds of thousands of links that were, you know, essentially filter category pages, which had, you know, no differentiation in content. And to be honest, we still have hundreds of thousands of those links, which no longer actually exist. But Google Search Console still has not sort of flushed them out. They've either moved from being blocked by robots text, which we did initially just to prevent the crawl budget from being taken up. But when we migrated to Magento 2, put a different theme on, and we were able to do a little bit of you know, setting up parameters, or at least hiding some of the filter category links. You know, those links actually no longer existed, but they still haven't been flushed out of Search Console. They've migrated from the blocked by robots text to being 404'd or, you know, anomaly, and still waiting for them to get dropped eventually, so that it is only showing the actual number of pages that we essentially have on the site.
Here's the bad news. You may need to wait. Sorry, Rick. You go.
On that note, because someone was asking me about it yesterday, do you think there's a problem with you know, pages still being in Google Search Console that may have now gone, or do you think you really need to get rid of them? You know,
well, I mean, they actually no longer exist on our site, and even the links to them no longer exist. So yeah, I've got no idea how long it's going to take Google Search Console to drop them. I mean, you know, my gut feel is, yeah, it'd be nice to have the total number of pages that I'm seeing in Search Console at least remotely close to the number of actual pages that we have on the site, rather than seeing, you know, 273,000 that are, you know, not being considered because they don't actually exist. I'd rather have a clean Search Console and feel like Google isn't looking at me negatively for any reason because of, you know, thin content or just excessive 404s. I know that there'll be probably a little drop when it's seeing them as 404s, but as soon as they're gone, I would assume that everything would be fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I have bad news for you. I think you're blocking for all the bots a lot of stuff, including some of the catalogs and other views that you may be referring to, including some of those with UL. No, the UL parameters were maybe blocked.
I commented those out. I think on that they were running through the old parameter tool. I've got it set up so it would catch it.
So the
if it
thing
got
is,
through.
if they still try to crawl it to verify that they're gone and you block them in robots, they will be there forever.
Mm.
You may need to unblock it and have that page return a 404 or a 410.
Oh, they're not being blocked in robots text.
Okay.
That's been removed. The problem is that it just hasn't been recrawled, since like September. When we made the shift from Magento 1 to Magento 2.
Then I think we can help with the recrawling. We have technology to force Googlebot to crawl stuff, but you could do a fetch as owner. You could fetch on your own pages.
Yeah, but 273,000 pages is, I can't really do them one by one.
I can hear someone thinking remotely, oh, we could hire a VA for that, don't do that, well, link detox boost is probably too expensive for the 200,000, but it's an option if you need that badly.
That's a nice to have, I think, more than a need to have.
It'd
be nice to see them cleared out, but I'll just wait on Google to.
What about the sitemaps? I saw your blog, the WordPress blog that you have running on /blog, but I don't see a sitemap for Magento. When you have Magento as the main,
I've got sitemaps for both that are running through Search Console.
Okay, but you didn't list them in your robots, right? I was looking for it. Or can you tell me the URL of the? Is it a simple one like sitemap?
They should be right there. It may be an auto-generated.
Yeah, I didn't find it at first glance, and then I recommend also for my own sanity to have the sitemaps listed like here in the robots. Yeah, but then there is also some people who say they don't want to give this to scrapers because scrapers look at this as well. So when you find a good sitemap,
yeah, you've got. Yeah, it looks like you had it right there.
This is the sitemap for the blog that you have. It's just for the blog section, the WordPress blog here.
Right, but the robot text, I think you had both of them.
Oh, okay. Let me check. This one is the sitemap for the media. I think that's the sitemap for the images in. Oh, wait. No. It looks like that's actually it. And
yeah, there's some based on our server. I know that there was some funky ways that the cloud server was handling where that sitemap was being stored. So the Nexus, my host provider, set everything up in there.
I am still loading, and that thing is huge. And without verifying all these 1,700 lines, I can say that you have images in here listed, and it looks like the product cache that you have is actually part of the sitemap as well. So you're telling Google to crawl your cache of the images, which could make sense, depending on the architecture. I'm not the best architect on Magento, so maybe that's the way it's just set up. I just wanted to note that it's fairly huge, and so maybe an idea would be to think about having multiple sitemaps. Wow, I think my Chrome browser just crashed on this one. Yeah, some people do that, you know, to split up the sitemap in those categories and articles, the items that are, you know, high value, high margin, and other stuff that they have as well. You know, and even attribute different crawl frequencies to that. But in this case, it's just huge and breaking my browser. So I'm closing this now, if I could. Yeah, and so maybe that's something to look into as well, in addition to stuff. Yeah, but look, we just did a recalculation and we are below the 1,000. And there's still some issues to look into, and some of them good links. One good link to review that is good, to undisavow. And your target pages, so the pages, those are 3,500. Does it make sense? Or are there many more pages on your website?
Well, I guess it depends if you're counting in the URLs from the categories on that. We've got about 100 blog posts, and then a couple thousand products, but you've got all these variations, but those are probably not counted as separate pages. Everything should be canonical.
Yeah.
To cover off on that.
Okay. Yeah,
but the blog pages take about 90% of the traffic. It's just trying to then steer people from those to the e-commerce.
Yeah, I saw
pages.
it. You got a very a clear call to action with this link here. You know, out of large accent rocks, where you try. Are you getting links to the blog as well? Are people linking to it?
Oh well, the blog. Most places are linking to the blog. I mean, that's where all the effort has been done. Anyone coming from social media, there's probably 4 articles that are generating, 75% of the traffic. So feel good about my on-page SEO, creating authoritative content.
Yeah.
Just to have to get some more authoritative backlinks to those to help bump up the overall authority of the site.
Yeah.
And you're competing against Wayfair and Amazon, you've got to find some way to break through the clutter.
Yeah, exactly. I can imagine. And this is what I think we mentioned that briefly, Rick, before, that it's about the balance between the good and the bad links. If you can make sure that the blog, from these 10,000 links that go in there, that all the rubbish, the risky ones, are disavowed, then you can spend your time, looking and optimizing for the good ones. And this is something, that you do or should do, because you are, competing with Amazon and Wayfair. Amazon wouldn't care less about all of that, because they're Amazon. And until today, they are still using black hat tactics for redirecting links from affiliates to non-affiliate web pages, to combine all the link juice. And they've been doing that for 10 years. And of course, they don't get a penalty. If Amazon doesn't show up in Google, it's not Amazon who did something wrong. Then people say Google is broken. And for that, the rules are different between Amazon, Wayfair, and your own site. But you can make sure that you do the best for your own backlink profile. And so with the detox risk here being low or very low, this is because they are disavowed, right? And so you took good action on that one. But when we look at the original detox risk, here are some that are even spammier. Okay, well done. Oh, no. Here's the original detox risk. That's what I wanted to show. So here's one coming in to your blog that you redirect for the keyword right light bulb. And here lightning and choosing the right. And all of them have a low detox risk and are not disavowed. Wait, I want to show you those that are disavowed is not empty and got an original detox risk being less than 500. So we're looking for links to your blog that had a low risk, but you disavowed them anyways. And so these 593 results here, I would give a second look, a second thought, because at least now from what we have in our own system with a full crawl, with a complete audit, these look like links that you could keep and undisavow, in fact. And there are some hot linkers. Oh, there's even one for the style glossary. Okay. Taking them out, undisavowing them.
So these are ones that may have been bad when I was initially looking at them, but are at least now looking like they're, you know, not terrible links.
Exactly. And between all these steps, you know, whenever I click a button here to disavow or undisavow, of course, you could have a couple days, weeks, or a month to judge. You know, this case study that we saw from Michael Rothman in Vienna last year at our charity conference, he did one step and then he waited for a couple of weeks just to see if that made a difference. And then he made another step. He was just doing the link disavowing and undisavowing thing. And as you have, you know, so many other things going on, this is also advice that I have. You know, if you don't have this immediate problem, but want to improve, you can stretch this out over time. Yeah. So, or you could actually, if you have a penalty, you could hire a rig to get rid of that penalty as soon as possible. Then we have a baseline, and then you could start undisavowing, for example, or building new links. And Rick would look after stuff. You know, and if something looked really fishy or some negative SEO, those virus links come in, he would just, you know, take action for that. This is a setup of link risk management, as we call it, where we would manage the risk of those links for you. Yeah.
Yeah, we never got any of the penalty messages or you know, manual actions. So we were in the same boat as everyone else, where you're like, well,
yeah,
not quite sure.
I think I went over that before, saying getting a manual action is actually good because you know you did something wrong, and all the others are just wandering around and are not sure, and that's part of the strategy. Not being
yeah, I'd love something specific telling me this is what you did wrong and need to fix.
Yeah, sure. But then it would be easy, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And so we have to be thankful for, sounds crazy, but we have to be thankful for manual actions because they give us material, they give us data points, they give us a feedback signal from the machine that is Google to understand better what they do.
I'm actually a little surprised that Google hasn't had something where it is a bit diagnostic of saying, you know, here are 3 things that you've done wrong. And if they're looking to provide searchers with, you know, the best pages, if they could get everyone to be adhering to what they need to be doing, it would seem like, you know, giving at least a few ideas for everyone to improve their site would be in their best interest. But
why?
If they're trying to deliver the best search results to people who are searching, if there are sites that are doing some things that are not necessarily intentionally bad, but are just happen to be you know, something that they made a mistake on, that they could improve the sites, Google would be delivering more sites that are relevant to what the search is.
Yeah, but that's what they tell you at all these conferences and in these webmaster hangouts, right? Good content and you're going to rank, and we have a great basis to scrape content from for our searches. But it's totally pointless for them if you rank or someone else. They don't care. There, I said it. It's totally pointless. They don't have a single reason to make you rank better than someone else. They just want everyone to contribute better data for their search engine, which is more content, a better content, marked up content, with all the markups that we have now, structured data for FAQs and for items and for reviews. Why? Because then scraping is easier. But I tell you, if they would be doing a tool like you described, it would be amazing. We would be the first to scrape it. How do you think we collected thousands and thousands of spam examples from Google, from our users' Google Search Consoles? If you have a community of interested SEOs that are interested in learning what Google does, even 2 or 3 example links multiplied by thousands is a lot of interesting data that you can put to use. And so if there would be a tool like that, that would actually tell you, you need to do A, B, and C, there's going to be a database overnight with all the recommendations and what that really means. And so it's not going to happen. They did that with
they sort of they sort of do that with the Google product feed. I mean, it tells you, oh, your image is too small. You don't have this particular coding, or it's blank. So they give you, diagnostic information that allows you to provide, more complete information for them, so that your feed actually displays. So, I mean, they're already doing it on certain tools within their portfolio.
For the tools or for the parts of the product that they're not good at. Google is not a great shopping engine. They suck. Everyone goes to Amazon. And so because of that, all of that stuff is free. It's best supported, and it will only become a closed environment if it becomes a vital element in their business, like search, where we don't get these signals, where we don't get the keywords. And it totally makes sense to give away as much as possible feedback to everyone actually wanting to use the shopping feed, right? But people go on Amazon to search for stuff as well, if they don't find it in Google. And so because of that, this I think is a strategy from Google to establish themselves as a shopping platform. And of course, they have to give all of that out. I think that was also the intention originally with Google PageRank, where they gave us wonderful insights into what they thought about links. And back in the days when that was still available, there were certain ways to use that API that were undocumented, where we could even see beyond what they were publicly announcing, look into their servers to see a little bit more. And so I was one of those scraping it big time, but learning from it. And so I think they got a little bit too successful or bigger, that this is not necessary in search. In shopping, yes. In new products, yes. Totally. But I think that really depends on which product you're looking at. Yeah. But it's a great example. I love that shopping feed example. I have to dig deeper into that because
they went back to a free model just last month, because we had gone away from it because we found, for us at least, that the paid ads and even paid shopping just didn't end up returning enough for us to make it worthwhile from a cost standpoint or time standpoint. And when I found out that they were going back to free for product search, I quickly got that feed put together.
Yeah, well, Frugal is back. Let's see if it sticks. That's what they called it in the first days, and it was wonderful to index affiliate sites. There's going to be a lot of black hat tricks, as some people refer to it now. But today, people say black hat whenever someone is actively trying to exploit loopholes and things in Google. But that's actually what SEO is, or was when I started. So, yeah, Bill, has been fantastic looking at your site.
So much appreciated. Learn a lot.
More stuff to look at. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well. And we are at 2 hours 15, Rick.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd get through all 36.
No.
I'm
what
happy
do you
to
say?
do it.
Shall we look at one more, or shall we convince you live to the audience to come back again for the remaining 35?
I'm happy to come back again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and let's do that.
Okay.
There's so much stuff. We have questions still coming in. My team answered some of them. I would say let's call it a day for today. And thank you for all of you guys who contributed. We got these sites prepared. You know, next time when we're up, there's going to be a history. So we may be able to look into some of the changes over time, which is even more interesting then. So it can only get better, guys, and see you soon. And with that, thank you very much. We're closing this now. Thank you, Rick. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Okay.
We're still on. Recording, Q&A. Oh, my dad. Thank you very much, Dad. Sticked around all the time. Wow. Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah.